Hello everybody, Septa here, and today I'm going to be platinuming Fallout 4. This is our second game in our Fallout series. Basically, I'm trying to platinum Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76 before I hit 550 subscribers. Just to give a bit of a backstory of this game, it's kind of the same as the third one, as it's a post-apocalyptic, like, basically the nukes dropped in a, 50s retro-futuristic world, and we start as Septa here. I decided to name all my characters Septa, but he is a kind of retired war veteran, so after making him look badass with a scar, we kind of just live our lives until a Vault Tech salesman comes to our door. This kind of serves as our entrance into the vault, as because we served in the Great War, we get our family gets a spot inside of the vault. And this lets us kind of pick our special stats as well as our name. Name myself Septa as always, and I went for kind of like a medium build because there's just a lot of stuff. Overall, I ended up raising my charisma and intelligence a bunch later on for various trophies, but this was pretty much my special setup for the start of the game. Now, soon after, though, things, they didn't stay peaceful for very long. Our son, Sean, started crying, so we went to go comfort him. But, yeah, this is kind of the last moment of peace in Septa's life. I apologize. Because just then we go to the TV as a news broadcast is on telling us that the nukes are dropping all around. And with this, the door opens, the vertibirds, which are those, fly overhead, and the nuke sirens start going off. We swiftly make it to Vault 111, which is just up the hill from our house, when all of a sudden the huge nuke goes off. And this moment was so cool. And afterwards we do go into the vault. And we go to these decontamination pods, as we did get radiation, like a little bit of radiation when the bomb went off. So we're just going on these so that we can go deeper into the vault. And Vault Tech is honestly very trustworthy at this point. But unfortunately, pretty much immediately they break our trust, because after lying to us about the decontamination pods, turns out they're cryopods, so they're freezing us. So yes, Vault 111's experiment is to test how long people can be cryogenically frozen. We wake up eventually where a man named Kellogg, which is the dude with the scar, tries to take our son. And unfortunately, this is like a super traumatic moment for Septa. We go back to sleep, we get put back into cryogenic storage, and then wake up yet again, all alone, because everyone else's life support got, messed up, so they're all dead, which honestly was a huge L. After we got out of our cryopods, I just wandered around the vault until we got to the, end of it. Now, the audio is a little delayed at certain parts, but most of it, the audio is pretty synced up. Here we get our first guns and stuff, and it's just, it's a lot like Fallout 3, if I'm being honest. Gameplay-wise, all the Fallout games are decently similar, but we soon head to escape the vault. But before we do this, we get the most important, piece of technology in the game, being the Pip-Boy. This allows us to use the map, use our inventory, equip stuff, look at quests. Basically, it is just the, lore used, inventory, I guess. It also gives us VATS, which is, a slowed down targeting system. And we use the Pip-Boy to open up the vault door so that we can escape. And after escaping, we do manage to get our first trophy of the run for just entering the wasteland. And here's that trophy pop in a second here. War never changes for entering the wasteland. We then head back to our old house and find our old robot Codsworth. I don't think I mentioned him before, but he was basically a Mr. Handy, so he was like our robot butler. He tries to help us find Sean, our son, but it turns out that he is obviously not just in the houses around Sanctuary Hills. So I end up going straight to work on settlement building. Now, for the main quest, we have to head to a nearby town called Concord, but before I did this, I love the settlement building in Fallout 4, so I decided to just get a bunch of trophies out of the way. Essentially, the settlement building comes with a decent amount of trophies, as the faction known as the Minutemen actually have like where you can use these workshops to build up their bases. So I end up using this quite a bit, but we do get our first trophy for grabbing 1,000 resources. And here's that trophy pop, because you do actually have to pick up the resources from the workbench in order to get the trophy. So here's that trophy pop. Scaver for gathering 1,000 resources used for crafting. I then decided to continue the main story by heading to Concord. We found the Museum of Freedom, which has that faction I mentioned, the Minutemen. The actual like last, I guess, group of the Minutemen that are alive are there, and they're surrounded by raiders. So as we go to help them, we discover hacking like you saw at that terminal, and lock picking as you see here. These are used because we have to hack 50 terminals and pick 50 locks for later trophies. Also, whilst exploring, there's various like loot and stuff for heals, but after clearing our way through the museum, we fought through a lot of raiders, honestly, but none of them were too difficult, but these were still the most difficult enemies we found yet. We also need to find magazines like that one right there, and after playing the game, we get a trophy. Future Retro for playing a holotape game. After that trophy, we head up to the roof to finish killing all the raiders. We find our first suit of power armor. It's basically like a huge robot mech suit type thing. And we also get a sick-ass minigun to just clear out all the raiders. However, the raiders were not the only threat, as midway through the fight, we discovered one of the most difficult enemies to kill in the game, being a Deathclaw. It just kind of popped up out of the sewers and surprised us. But it wasn't too, like, it was very difficult. I killed him much easier later on in the Platinum, but it wasn't too difficult at the start, as I just kind of beat him with my minigun, like you see here. And after this, we returned to Preston. Basically, for most quests, you have to go actually, like, turn him into someone. And him and the other settlers say that they want to go stay in Sanctuary Hills, so we have to escort them. And after talking to him yet again, we agree to help him with another settlement and get a trophy pop. When Freedom Calls, for completing When Freedom Calls. This is the Minutemen, as I'm sure I mentioned, and ooh, we almost just popped another trophy. But yeah, they are kind of the good guys, so we're going to be helping them out, as I do believe this quest also offers another trophy on top of just the general good guy kind of benefits we get from it. Whilst doing that quest, we kill many enemies on our way to get to the place Tim Pines Bluff that we have to go, and we do get our next trophy pop for reaching level 5 here. Born Survivor for reaching level 5. This trophy came kind of unfortunately, as we are like in the middle of combat. After arriving to 10 Pines Bluff, we talked to the settlers there and agreed to help them with their raider problem. From now on, like all the Minutemen quests, you kind of just go to the place, talk to the people, then go clear out the enemies and return to them to capture the settlements, just to let you guys know. But we need to head to Corvega Assembly Plant, a car assembly plant run by raiders, the same kind of gang of raiders that we fought in Concord. And this honestly wasn't a very difficult fight. I find fighting raiders extremely fun in Fallouts. But yeah, it wasn't too difficult, and here the leader, Jared, was killed by this Protectron so that we could clear the area. We came back to 10 Pines Bluff, turned in the quest, as I said, and for some of these, we do also have to turn them into Preston, but he tells us the kind of lore of the Minutemen's downfall, and actually asks us to not only join the Minutemen, but become the leader or the general of the Minutemen, and I decide to join it and get another trophy. The first step, join the Minutemen. After this, I got another easy trophy. This one was for completing the side quest Sanctuary. Basically, we talked to one of the settlers, Sturges, about getting defenses, food, water, and beds. Now, since I already beefed up this settlement before I even met the Minutemen, I could kind of just talk to him over and over again. Like, this entire clip is just me completing the quest, as this is how easy it is if you just prep beforehand. And we do, as I said, get a trophy pop. Sanctuary, for completing Sanctuary. Honestly, such an easy and fast quest. I just decided to get done so that we could get the trophy pop. After getting this trophy, I decided to head towards Diamond City. This is like, excuse me, the biggest city in the game. But on our way, I got a distress call, so I decided to go check it out. These are feral ghouls that we're fighting. They're like zombified, like radiation zombified humans, and the people fighting them are the Brotherhood of Steel. They're pretty prominent in this game, and they're like a militaristic, like intelligence-based society, but I decide to help them out just to get some extra money, and this quest actually gives pretty good rewards. We head to the ArcJet Systems area to try to get a piece of technology that they need, and it turns out that the kind of bad guys of the game, the Institute and their synths, are here, and none of the 3 factions like the Institute. There's 4 factions total, and 3 of them besides the Institute don't like the Institute. So we do have to fight quite a bit of synths through this quest, but overall they're not too difficult, as they're kind of just weak robots. And eventually we do find the deep range transmitter, as you saw there, which is what we need just to expand kind of the uses of their police station base. Afterwards, I agree to join the Brotherhood of Steel. This gives us a really good laser weapon, being Righteous Authority, and will set us up for this next trophy. I was confused why it didn't pop, but you actually have to go back to the police station and talk to Paladin Dance, the dude that in the power armor right there, to get the trophy pop. Scepter Invicta for joining the Brotherhood of Steel. Honestly, I like the Minutemen and the Brotherhood, that's why I decided to join both of them. After completing that quest, I decided to head to Diamond City. However, right outside, I got one of the best weapons in the game, Spray and Pray. This is a SMG, like a submachine gun, like an actual like Tommy gun, except it is explosive, so it shoots explosive rounds. I used this gun mostly for the entire series. Next, you meet up with a reporter at the front gate. This is one of the first companions that you can get, but actually I didn't mention it. I'm rocking with Dogmeat right now because he's one of the best companions in the game. And after ending that conversation and getting into Diamond City, we talked to Mayor McDonough. He's kind of a tyrant, but we talked to him about who we should talk to, and he points us in the direction of a synth detective named Nick Valentine. However, when we enter his office, his secretary Ellie tells us that he is actually missing. Yes, the detective is missing. So we offer help and head to go help him out. He was working against gangsters. Also, on our way, I fought some raiders and did reach level 10. Commonwealth citizen for reaching level 10. And just like level 5, we're freaking fighting raiders on the. But back to Nick Valentine, he was trying to get the kind of mob boss Skinny Malone and his triggerman. He was trying to track down a girl that went missing, and traces them to Vault 114, an unfinished vault in which all the triggermen were hiding out in. Eventually, we find him and unlock him, and he agrees to help us once we leave the vault and escape. This honestly isn't too difficult because of Spray and Pray, as all the triggermen drop 45 ammo, which is the one I need. I also decide to just completely clear them out, and I just wanted to show the dominance that Spray and Pray gives because of just how fast I killed the kind of boss of the location, being Skinny Malone. Also, Septa's a freaking badass here based on what he says. And just look at this. Just right there, they're dead. And after leaving, we do talk to Nick, agree to meet him back at his office to do some questioning, and we get the trophy pop. Unlikely Valentine. Hopefully now we will be able to actually find our son, so I'm just going to keep progressing through the main story, to be honest. Once we go back to Diamond City, we talk to Nick and describe various different things like the kidnappers, our son, and what we kind of think is going on. Basically, we describe the appearance of the kidnapper being that of Kellogg, and Nick Valentine immediately pretty much finds that it's Kellogg, as he's like a known wasteland mercenary. So we use Dogmeat to track him to Fort Hagen. This quest is very boring, so I'm just not going to mention any more of the actually getting to Fort Hagen. But this is Fort Hagen right here, where Kellogg is actually located. We fight through the various synths, and we decide to kind of just wipe him out. We find out that the Institute, though, has Sean inside of it, and he is just kind of a worker for the Institute. So here we just have to kill him afterwards. I decided to do this with the Fat Man, one of the best weapons in the game. And we hit an aura line right before we killed him too. This quest isn't too difficult, but honestly super fun to get revenge. I feel like all these games make getting revenge so fun, as I kind of just one-shot him. And afterwards though, we do get a sick moment when the Brotherhood of Steel like officially arrives in the Commonwealth, as their huge war blimp, the Pridwin, enters the Commonwealth. With this, the Brotherhood will be getting way like stronger, and we can actually go on top of the blimp as we've already joined the Brotherhood of Steel. Also, we return to Nick and basically talk about how to figure out how to get into the Institute to get Sean, and we figure out that we could probably use a piece of Kellogg's brain, which we picked up off his corpse, at a place called the Memory Den, because they can like make you see past memories. So we kind of are planning to use this, and we also get a trophy pop for completing this quest.
We're gonna get your boy back.
Reunions. For completing reunions, I'm gonna just, as I said, keep playing through the story. Now, before I head to the town of Good Neighbor and to the Memory Den to complete that next quest, I decided to get a very easy miscellaneous trophy done. This is just for running the bases in Diamond City. Since Diamond City is in Fenway Park, they just have the kind of baseball bases out and about, and literally all you have to do is just run from home plate, first, second, third, and back to home for one of the easiest trophies in the game, and here is that trophy pop. Home run. Get a home run. This trophy is so easy. All you have to do is literally just run the bases as I did across Diamond City, and you pick up that trophy. Next, we talk to Dr. Amari inside of the Memory Den, and she agrees to let us see Kellogg's memories. We do this by hopping into the memory pods. They're a lot like the Tranquility Loungers from Fallout 3, except instead of trapping you in a simulation, they let you like simulate Kellogg's memories, I suppose. And overall, this mission is one of the most boring in the game, but you can actually just skip it until you get to the last one, where we see our son Sean with Kellogg in an Institute courser. We find out here a very crucial piece of information, as it turns out that the Institute actually uses teleportation to get in, and that's why no one has like found their way in. So they just use a molecular relay, as you can see here, to teleport in and out. And after talking to Dr. Amari yet again, we decide to go find Virgil, an ex-Institute scientist, in the glowing sea, and we get the trophy pop. Dangerous Minds, for completing Dangerous Minds. Here I'm kind of just going to branch off from the main story and go do some side stuff and get some other trophies before I do the glowing sea mission. And as I said, with us no longer doing the main story for now, I decided to do more Minutemen quests. Eventually, after you take enough settlements under the Minutemen's control, you can then get their old headquarters back, being Fort Independence or the castle. This place is filled with Mirelurks, crab-like mutated creatures. Overall, not too hard, especially if you have spray and pray, as they make it. Spray and pray makes it so easy to kill them, especially these egg sacs here, as they're so annoying if you do not have spray and pray. But this wasn't too difficult until a little later on in the quest, when we get a very big surprise. This huge surprise comes in the form of the Mirelurk Queen. This is a like big giant creature, and we need to kill 5 of these for a trophy later on, but this one being our first meant that I was extra nervous because I didn't want any of the settlers to die either. And overall, it was decently difficult, but Spray and Pray took it down with relative ease once I started using Spray and Pray. And afterwards, we kind of got the settlement up and running with food and the radio. And after talking to Preston, we turned in the quest and got the trophy pop. Taking Independence. For completing Taking Independence and reconquering the Minutemen's HQ. Honestly, I like the Minutemen and the Brotherhood, but at this point, the Minutemen are kind of my favorite, so I'm doing all their like side trophies right now. Now, guys, I had to actually wait some time for the next, like, main Minutemen quest, being old guns. So I decided to keep doing, like, settlement quests, as our next trophy was to ally with 3 settlements, which I get after allying with these guys.
Community organizer. Sorry, I don't know why it went like that, but community organizer for allying with 3 settlements. Only one more Minutemen quest to do, and then that's actually all of the Minutemen quests finished.
I also now decided to beef up Sanctuary a little more by getting a Water Empire, as they call it. It's one of the most popular ways to make caps in Fallout 4 because you can just farm up so much water. And here's that trophy.
Fixer-upper for building 100 workshop items. I'm kind of building up Sanctuary, and my goals for making money is to kind of create a water empire. So I've just been working to build up my water empire and got that trophy for building up Sanctuary.
On the topic of crafting, I decided to just kind of do a cheese that I'll explain in a second to get all of the weapon mods that I needed, and here's a trophy pop.
Armed and dangerous for creating 50 weapon mods. Honestly, this cheese makes it so much easier, as I did not want to waste all the resources to actually do this trophy legitly. So I get it, it's not the most, like, I guess trophy hunter wise, like, ethically a good way of getting the trophy, but nevertheless it's an easy trophy out of the way.
After getting those trophies done, it was finally time to complete Old Guns. A kind of Minutemen veteran, Ronnie McShaw, came to the headquarters basically to kind of get us more set up with the armory as well as artillery. This quest isn't too difficult unless you're a super low level because there's a pretty strong sentry bot, but after taking care of all the defenses, we make it to the armory where we get various traps. You can get a fat man, all this different like resource stuff, and we also do get artillery, which we have to test out to complete the quest. Overall, really useful, like technically useful, but I never actually use it. And after returning to Preston Garvey, we can turn in the quest to get yet another Minutemen trophy, and the last one that we'll be getting.
Old Guns for completing Old Guns. Now this is officially all the Minutemen quests completed, but I like settlement building and stuff, so low-key I might just keep doing these like little side quests anyways, and I think my settlement's pretty intact.
Afterwards, I decided to discover our third out of 4 factions, being the Railroad. They are kind of like the real-life Underground Railroad, who essentially want to free the enslaved synths of the Institute and kind of let them live as citizens. They are under the Old North Church, and you have to input a code to find them. You do have to find them for the main story no matter what, but I found them before we actually needed to go find them. And essentially, our boy Deacon, one of the agents, kind of vouches for us, as we're a pretty much a badass in the Fallout world right now. And we agree to go do a quest with them in order to prove ourselves so that we can join the Railroad. The Railroad's by far one of the most boring factions. We just have to go raid one of their old bases that's crawling with synths in order to get a prototype device and bring it back. We do get another one of the best weapons in the game, a super like good crutch weapon in my opinion, because it's just so freaking good. This weapon's the Deliverer 10mm pistol that I will show you in a second. But yeah, this quest isn't too difficult, just really boring, as there's a lot of slow things because the Railroad is a lot of like spies and stuff. But yeah, we do go grab the prototype and then accept the gun. Once again, one of the best weapons in the game. And afterwards, we head back to the Railroad headquarters where we talk to the leader and just kind of glaze ourselves. Deacon really glazes us at this point. And basically, we are given the opportunity to join the Railroad. This gives us another trophy, and we have officially joined 3 out of the 4 factions. You can beat the game with all 4 of these factions, but we only need to beat the game with the Brotherhood, Institute, and Railroad for the Platinum. And here's that trophy.
Tradecraft for joining the Railroad. Honestly, out of all the quests I've done for people before, this one was the most boring, but I do have to join every faction for the Platinum.
Whilst I was going for another trophy for completing 10 side quests, I got a miscellaneous trophy for getting blown up by a super mutant suicider. This trophy is kind of random, but I do explain it decently well in 5. Touchdown for getting a touchdown, but in reality we just got freaking blown up right as I left the building. And as we completed the same quest that I got blown up in, which these side quests of this game, there's so many side quests. I think I completed like 30 by the time I was done with the platinum. But here's that trophy.
Gun for hire for completing 10 side quests. I've just been doing this stuff, like these side quests, so that we can, you know, not have so many trophies to clean up. Because I do have to do all 4 endings of the game, which will get us tons of trophies, which is why I'm deciding to go for a lot of the miscellaneous stuff right now. We also have to get 50 miscellaneous objectives, so whilst going for one of these, I figured out a cheese at Backstreet Apparel. Basically, you can keep making the same lock again over and over, so I decided to cheese this for the trophy. What's yours is mine for picking 50 locks. I found a cheese here at Backstreet Apparel. Basically, you can hack the safe infinitely, or pick the lock of the safe infinitely, because you can just keep engaging the lock. So I'm sure there's other places in the game you can do it, but I did it here at Backstreet Apparel.
Also, while cleaning up more side quests and miscellaneous objectives, I discovered my 100th location for yet another trophy.
Ranger Corps for discovering 100 locations. I noticed that I was at like 95, so I just kind of came over here and discovered a bunch of these locations just to clean up that trophy. And I think honestly now I'm going to go back and kind of continue the main story.
And with continuing the main story, we head to the glowing sea, the kind of like ground zero of where the nuclear bomb went off. This is Virgil. He's a human scientist that used FEV, the forced evolutionary virus, to turn himself into a super mutant. But he remained intelligent. He tells us that we need a courser chip in order to teleport into the Institute, and there is a courser at Green Tech Genetics. So we head here. The place is crawling with gunners, all trying to get the same synth. After fighting through all the gunners, we go to meet the courser. They're like super elite synth units that are used to go and grab synths and bring them back for the Synth Retention Bureau. Overall, this is probably the hardest fight that we've had, because even using a critical Fat Man shot to the head still did not fully kill him. But after spamming him with my other crutch weapons, we did take him down and get the trophy.
Hunter hunted for completing Hunter hunted and killing the courser. So now I think I'm going to once again kind of dip out of the story, because this is where the storylines diverge to where I have to do the 4 different playthroughs. So yeah, I think here is where I'm going to stop doing the main story.
After this point, I decided to get all of the DLCs as they were on sale. I will mention this here in a second, but the first DLC that we are going to be doing is Mechanical Menace. Basically, we get a caravan distress signal, and this is from a robot, Ada, with her caravan. Her caravan gets fully wiped out, and after clearing out the robot threat, we agree to take Ada as a companion to go take down the Mechanist, the leader of the robots that killed her caravan. And essentially, this DLC just follows taking down the Mechanist. The Mechanist is the same person from Fallout 3, but we do get 2 trophies here. Never Go It Alone, a base game trophy.
Recruiting 5 separate companions, and Mechanical Menace for completing the first mission of the Automatron DLC. So I decided to get these DLCs because, I don't know if I'll have said it in post, but because it is on sale right now as of recording this. So I decided to pick it up because I love the DLCs of this game. So yeah, we will now be going for 100% of the DLC. Oh, not of the DLC, of Fallout 4.
Now, the main kind of quests for the Automatron DLC is just really to kind of track down the Mechanist, as I said. We fight various different robots to track down the signal to a piece of technology that we need. We end up tracking down the technology to the Fort Hagen satellite array. This quest is honestly not too difficult, just kind of time-consuming. And if your character doesn't have decent armor at this point, you're kind of going to be cooked because the robots deal a decent amount of damage. But after fighting our way through, we find Jezebel, and Jezebel is able to kind of track down the Mechanist. and essentially we just killed the raiders, which are the rust devils. They're the ones that are in control of this facility. They're just raiders that use robots to fight for them. Overall, the Automatron DLC is pretty fun in my opinion, but one of the more weaker ones, which makes sense because it's the first one that ever released. We do get a miscellaneous DLC trophy here for unlocking 10 robot mods. Basically, you can pick up robot mods from the corpses of robots, and here's going to be that trophy pop.
Robot Hunter for unlocking 10 robot mods. This was super easy. Just got it from looting the various robots that we've been trying out.
Since Jezebel was just ahead, we had to build a new body, and I just wanted to say that this will give us a trophy in a second, but whilst crafting upgrades, we hit level 25 for another trophy.
Unstoppable Wanderer for hitting level 25. In total, we need to hit level 50, but we're halfway there. And honestly, we should pop a trophy here soon, because from what I believe, we have only a couple more upgrades to get. So I went and got a bunch of... Yeah, there we go. The most toys for building 10 robot mods. Just because I went and grabbed a ton of materials.
Afterwards, we tracked down the exact location of the Mechanist and finished the headhunting quest.
Headhunting for completing headhunting, and then I believe... yeah, this is our last mission of the DLC.
We were now on to the final quest of the Automatron DLC. This was, as I said, just tracking down the Mechanist and stopping the robots from coming. This wasn't very difficult, just tons of robots that we had to fight through. Honestly, a really boring quest because it's just fighting robots over and over again. Not too much else to say about it, except for like the very end kind of boss fight segment, I guess you could say. For this, we just had to fight waves of robots. There was like 5 or more waves. I don't know exactly how many, but there was just waves and waves of robots. And then once we were finished killing all of the robots, the power of the facility kind of shut down because the production of robots constantly was draining, and eventually we did talk down the Mechanist because there's a lot of ways in this game that you can just talk down various villains, because obviously they want to leave some, you know, like, I guess, role-playing abilities open. So after convincing the Mechanist to kind of just, you know, not attack random people or not have the robots attack, we do talk to Ada and finish the quest and the DLC.
Restoring order for completing our first of 6 DLCs. Now I'm literally just gonna move down the trophy list and move to, I forgot what the next DLC is, but it's one of the workshop ones.
Next on our agenda was the Wasteland Workshop DLC, where we had to craft various cages. This was a lot of like some wildlife stuff, and I did need to grab various materials for all of these cages that I had to build. But whilst doing this, I found my 20th magazine, which granted us another miscellaneous trophy, which pops right here.
Prince Not Dead for grabbing 20 magazines. I've been finding these just everywhere. So as I'm exploring, gathering resources, got that done.
I also got yet another miscellaneous trophy for crafting 100 items, as I crafted a lot of drugs throughout my playthrough, as well as healing items, which are stim packs. And here's that trophy popping.
Yes, Wasteland DIY for crafting 100 items. Honestly, super happy about that because been going out of my way, still grinding the Wasteland Workshop. We got 3 out of 15 cages, but there's another main game trophy.
And we got yet another freaking trophy whilst hunting animals, because basically we had to get a bunch of different like drugs and meat and various things to make all the cages to attract the different creatures. And whilst killing this Deathclaw, we got a trophy that's taken us the whole game for killing 300 creatures. And after that run, we finally had all the resources we needed for all the cages, and got the Trapper trophy
for building one of every cage type. This has honestly taken me so freaking long, but we built them all. This is my like I guess you could say like my cage area, I guess, would be all I could really call it. Essentially, guys, oh, this looks like there's fights. I'm kind of just gonna power these up for the other trophies. So yeah.
Now, in order to get the next trophy, I actually had to level up quite a bit of times because I had to get 2 different perks, and I need to get to 9 charisma in order to get these, and I started the game out with 5, so I had to level up like 6 times to get this. But I found a group of gunners whilst I was leveling myself up, and actually killed my 300th person. This gave us the Mass Hole trophy. After leveling up all those times, I had to get 5 different creatures in the settlement that were peaceful, and we got the docile trophy.
Docile for having 5 tamed creatures in the settlement. I just accidentally released the death bar. Oh my god, this is all out hell. I just released a mythic death bar because they destroyed the beta wave and mythic.
After cleaning up that mess, I made 2 settlers fight each other in the arena for our 3rd and final Wasteland Workshop trophy.
Yes, Instigator for starting a spectator arena fight. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what's going on in my settlement anymore. We got an old lady getting shot by Preston, and my turrets are attacking Yaogwai because they just keep freaking attacking my base. But as I said, I did make a save here so that I do not have to deal with all that, and it's Far Harbor time. Next, I decided to do the Far Harbor DLC. For this DLC, we had to go to the Nakano family residence, where they had a missing daughter that went up to a place called Far Harbor to a synth refuge known as Acadia. So we headed on their boat up to Far Harbor, where we got our first trophy. Far from home. Sorry guys, I was not expecting that trophy to pop already. We've arrived in Far Harbor.
The first quest low-key didn't have anything going on. We were kind of just going to Far Harbor, but we then kind of helped defend the town of Far Harbor from the anglers and gulpers that were attacking. These are creatures from the fog. The fog's like super radioactive and deadly and stuff, and they have a lot of unique creatures in this DLC. Eventually, we talk to Old Longfellow to get us to Acadia. We also find the first issue of the Islanders Almanac. These are 5 different magazines that we have to find. I will mention that again when we get our 5th one, because we do get a trophy. And after making it to Acadia, we talk to Dima, the synth kind of leader of the location. I do want to say that he is technically Nick Valentine's brother, so there's a little bit of lore there. But we do end up finding Kasumi, and we talk to her about her not being a synth because she's obviously not. Her parents literally remember her being born. And after this, she kind of starts to question Dima, so we end up listening into Dima talk to the other 2 kind of leaders of the synth refuge, and we figure out that Dima actually has some missing memories at the Children of Adam cultists that worship radiation's base. After overhearing this, we plan to go find Dima's memories and see what's really going on in Far Harbor. We also complete our 2nd quest and get a trophy pop.
Where You Belong. For completing Where You Belong, our 2nd quest in Far Harbor. Now we have Best Left Forgotten, where we have to head to the Children of Adam's base, but I'm going to do some of these side quests first, I think. But before I decided to do these, I decided to do some miscellaneous trophies, like crafting a Far Harbor recipe, which I did by making poached angler here. Just add salt water for cooking one of the new Far Harbor recipes. This was so easy, just cooking the angler here at a cooking station.
Now, for the rest of Far Harbor, the audio is a bit delayed, so I apologize for this, but we were exploring, and I found the 5th issue of the Islanders Almanac.
The Islanders Almanac for collecting all issues of the Islanders Almanac magazine. Sorry, that's like a mouthful.
I was also doing various different kind of quests, which gave us our 20th Far Harbor location. and there's plenty of these locations to do. I also did side quests for the people of Far Harbor, as they were my favorite of the 3 factions, and after doing enough of these, you could unlock 3 different workshops, and after unlocking our 3rd workshop, we get another trophy, and I was really quiet during these, so this is the Push Back the Fog trophy for unlocking 3 different Far Harbor workshop locations. Low-key, I kind of abandoned all these locations after I got the trophy, but there's the trophy pop. After speedrunning those trophies, we went back to the main story of Far Harbor, where we had to do a ritual-like thing for the children of Adam. I feel like for every cult in Fallout games, you have to do some crazy-ass ritual. But after completing the ritual, we got access to Dima's memory banks. This was a workshop-like puzzle thing. Everyone finds this so annoying, and even though I've completed this DLC on Xbox, this mission still took me like 2 hours one night. It's so boring, so this is all I'm really gonna show because it's just boring. But we end up finding out that one of the people in Far Harbor, Captain Avery, is actually been killed by Dima and replaced by a synth, and we also find out that there was a failsafe with the nuclear launch key to kill the children of Adam. But whilst finding these things, we kill our 30th Far Harbor creature for the hooked trophy. This, hopefully, you guys can get done during the kind of gameplay of Far Harbor, so you don't have to just farm enemies at the end. Afterwards, we return to Kasumi with our discoveries, and I kind of decide my endings here. Basically, I decided to turn Dima into the people of Far Harbor, and Dima can be executed, and with a speech check, you can talk down the citizens of Far Harbor from killing everyone in Acadia, because there's innocent people, and we get the Way Life Should Be trophy for completing that first quest. Then Dima is executed, and the people of Far Harbor are then safe, as well as the synths of Acadia. Now for our next trophy, we had to nuke the children of Adam. This is honestly a really cool quest, and I kind of like it. And after it blows up, we get the Cleansing the Land trophy for completing Cleansing the Land and wiping out the children of Adam. Afterwards, we convince Kasumi to go back home, which is the perfect setup for the final trophy of the DLC, which is just for kind of completing the detective case. That's the whole reason we came to Far Harbor in the first place. So after talking to the Nakano family, we get the trophy pop.
Close to home for completing the Far Harbor DLC. Now we can quickly go get a reward, which I don't remember what the reward is, but overall I think things ended pretty well. We killed the crazy cultists. Most of the synth people are alive, and the people of Far Harbor are safe. And our next DLC was the Contraptions Workshop DLC, and for this we had various contraptions, I guess you could say, like this kind of factory which produced materials. We actually had to produce 100 different items for a later trophy, but first I decided to assign a settler to a pillory for a trophy. Time out for assigning a settler to a pillory. Honestly guys, this has been so frustrating, not this trophy in specific. I'm currently grinding mass production out, but like for some reason, ever since I did the Wasteland Workshop DLC stuff, my settlement has been glitching, and like I had thousands of wood, thousands of all this, and then all of a sudden they're freaking gone, and I don't know why. Like I feel like all my stuff's being drained. But that's our first Contraptions Workshop trophy done, and the other two I'm currently getting the stuff for. Next, we had to put a bunch of things on display, being power armor, a set of regular armor, and a weapon. Once again, the trophies for the Contraption DLC are honestly the easiest out of any DLC in this game. So here's that trophy pop. Well, once I actually equip the Rescue Diver suit on here. Show off for displaying a weapon on a weapon rack, armor on an armor rack, and power armor in a power armor stand. All whilst this is happening, our third trophy of the DLC is being farmed up over here. I just gotta keep producing the kickballs and then scrapping them. We only get 3, they cost 5 rubber and we only get 3 rubber back, but at least we're getting something back. And honestly, I don't know how much, I don't know how long we've been doing this, so I don't know how long we have to go. And after another 15 minutes of waiting, we get the trophy pop. Yes! Mass production for producing 100 objects from our settlement. This took this whole DLC and everything, I probably should have grabbed those, took 40 minutes, but now we only have 2 more DLCs, being the Vault-Tec Workshop DLC, and Nuka World.
Afterwards, we went to our second to last DLC, being the Vault Tech Workshop. Now, this DLC is pretty interesting as it's kind of just a vault settlement, honestly a really cool concept, but we get a Vault Tech distress signal and head to Vault 88, which is crawling with raiders. So after killing all the raiders, we end up making it in, where we talk to the Overseer. Now, our first task is to clear out all the enemies and unlock all the workshops of Vault 88. This does grant us our first trophy, and honestly is kind of difficult at some points as there's just so many enemies and it's just such a big settlement. It's honestly really cool though. I love this DLC just because of how many different crafting like things there are that they add and how many different like sections of the vault there is. But after grabbing our last one, we get this trophy.
Better living underground for unlocking all build areas of Vault 88, and our first trophy of the Vault Tech Workshop DLC.
Next, we had to help with the evil Vault Tech experiments by picking dwellers to come into our vault and basically run experimental products on them. And we needed to pick out the perfect kind of guinea pig. So after going through a couple people, we decided on a dude named Clem. Now, once we got Clem, we had to outfit him with a Vault 88 jumpsuit and a Pip-Boy for the main quest. But this also grants us our second trophy of the DLC. Now, unlike me, you actually do have to equip the vault suit on him, but then once we do that, we get a trophy pop.
Vault Dweller for equipping a Vault 88 suit and a Pip-Boy on a settler.
Now, whilst the experiments are the main point of the DLC, I'm not going to go over them as they're kind of boring. You kind of just let Clem go for an hour or so over and over on the different machines. But after doing all of the experiments, we can talk to the Overseer yet again, where they say that they're going out to kind of spread the data from the experiments throughout the wasteland, and we are now Overseer.
Oversight for becoming the Overseer and completing the second to last DLC, the Vault Tech Workshop. I decided to do all the experiments, which just took a bit longer. So yeah, Nuka World time.
Now, guys, for the moment you've all been waiting for, okay? Nuka World, the final DLC of Fallout 4. So, we get a Nuka World family radio signal, which takes us to the Nuka World Transit, where a dude named Harvey tells us that his family has been captured by raiders in Nuka World. So we listen to his advice and head on to the monorail to go save them. It turns out to be a bit of a scam, but we get to see the kind of coolness of the Nuka World Park. This DLC is by far my favorite, and on the intercom we have Porter Gage kind of tell us that once we survive the gauntlet, which is basically the way that the raiders stay entertained is by watching people go through the gauntlet. But he tells us that after we complete the gauntlet, he will help us in the final kind of boss fight of the gauntlet, as we have to fight the overboss or the leader of the raider faction. Not going to go over the gauntlet too much, as it's kind of just like traps and enemies and various things that are just out to kill you. You get what I mean? Like here we had a bunch of explosives with tripwires. But as I said, after we make it through everything, we got to fight the overboss Coulter. Now, this fight is kind of rigged, as he is in a electric power armor that does not actually let him take any damage as long as it's powered. So Porter Gage sets us up with a squirt gun. So I enter the fight, pop all my drugs, and then I shoot him with a squirt gun in order to short circuit his suit, and then kind of just freaking let it rip and try to slime him out. Jet is very useful during this fight, and it only took me like one repeat of just hitting him with the Fat Man and then killing him with spray and pray to actually take him down. So overall, not too difficult of a boss. We then talked to Porter Gage, and he told us that we were now actually the leader of Nuka World and the new raider overboss. This DLC though kind of sucks because everyone in the Commonwealth hates you if you actually do the raider content. And after walking through this door, we do get our first Nuka World trophy pop. So, here is that trophy right now.
Taken for a ride. I can't believe we're already the boss of all these frickin' raiders, but that's the first trophy of Nuka World.
Next, we kind of talk to Gage, and he tells us the main plan for Nuka World. This is to take over all 4 parks and to fully utilize, like, Nuka World for the raiders. Now, there's 5 different parks that I will mention kind of as we go, but their names is the Galactic Zone, Dry Rock Gulch, World of Refreshment, Safari Adventure, and Kitty Kingdom. But before we do any of that, we have to go talk to the 3 raider gang bosses. The first one I went to was the Disciples, which is led by Nisha. They basically love blood and killing people with knives. Kind of a creepy bunch and my least favorite of the bunch. Next, we talked to the leaders of the Operators. They're a lot like my friend Carson and try to go for caps and money. That's all they really care about. Then we had the Pack, which is run by Mason. They are kind of just animalistic, go for chaos, only care about who's the strongest, and they make animals fight slaves a lot, which is kind of cool, honestly. And next, we go to the actual park part of the game, and I find my first issue of Scav. Like the Islanders Almanac, we do have to find 5 of these, but basically the gist for the Galactic World is it's like a robotic arcade space type of area, and we have to grab 20 different star cores in order to make the area safe and shut down all of the hostile robots. I'm not going to go too much more into this as it's pretty boring and just killing enemies and grabbing these star cores. Now our next one, Dry Rock Gulch, is way more fun and is a time that I got a honestly pretty difficult trophy. Now there are different Nuka World like custom Nuka-Cola flavors that you can make, and there's a trophy to kill 40 different Nuka World creatures while under these effects. So I decided to do this here as the Bloodworms, the main enemies of Dry Rock Gulch, were by far the easiest to kill. So I just popped one of these Nuka-Colas right as I went and killed the enemies. Now, I did get this trophy up here, but all we really had to do for this part was just clear it out, and here's that trophy.
All sugared up for defeating 40 Nuka World creatures while under the effects of a Nuka mix flavor. Loki thought I'd get this trophy way later, but I just popped a Nuka, what's it called? A Nuka cooler and cleared out Dry Rock Gulch and got the trophy.
The next park I went for was Kitty Kingdom, the kind of kids section of the park. This place is just filled with illusions and ghouls, and the final dude there, Oswald the Outrageous, you can literally just talk him down, so it's honestly pretty easy. Next was the World of Refreshments, where there was just a bunch of Nuka Lurks you had to kill, and we do get a trophy after killing the Nuka Lurk Queen, as it's our 5th giant creature, so that's another base game trophy done.
The harder they fall for killing 5 giant creatures, I apologize.
Now guys, I was kind of quiet here, so I just wanted to talk a little more about the World of Refreshments. This wasn't too difficult, especially with Spray and Pray and the Deliverer, as those 2 weapons honestly just melt the Nuka Lurks. Like, look at me using this other weapon, it just does absolutely nothing compared to my 2 main guns. But after this, we only had 1 more park to complete before we got our first, like, big grind of Nuka World done. Our final park was Safari Adventure, just the kind of zoo area. We worked with this guy, Sito, who was raised by a bunch of gorillas, and essentially we just had to wipe out all the gator claws. They're like huge gators, and they're like being cloned. So after we take out all the cloning machine and kill them, we secure that park. Next we talk to Gage, and he tells us that we are now going to set our sights on the Commonwealth and taking over various settlements in the Commonwealth. This will give us 2 different trophies, one for just completing a quest and another for grabbing 8 settlements. But here we do get the trophy for grabbing all of the Nuka World
Grand
parks.
Tour, for completing the Grand Tour and taking over all the Nuka World parks. So basically, guys, this is where I'm going to make a hard save, because we have to, for trophies, do some of these Commonwealth like missions, but it ruins my reputation with a bunch of the factions in the Commonwealth. So I'm just gonna make a hard save and then do those trophies and then revert my save.
Now starting those Commonwealth Raider quests. I'm not going to go too much into this because it's kind of just boring. You go to different settlements. I usually convince them to give us their land, and then after getting 3 things, we complete Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home. For completing Home Sweet Home, we will have to revert to before this point after we complete power play and get our 8 outposts.
Afterwards, we start the final Nuka World quest, being Power Play. Basically, you can give different parks to the various raider gangs, so I gave them all to the operators and the pack, which caused the disciples to turn on me. However, being this strong, as I was almost level 50 at this point, I just like completely cleared through all of the disciples, and after clearing through them all, we did make it to the power, like the actual power station, and turn on the power to the park. This opened up tons of new areas so that we could get all the star cores and get the Exo 1 suit of power armor from the Galactic Zone, and other things that just made getting through the parks much easier and fully secured the entirety of Nuka World for us. Now, the trophy does not pop yet. The trophy pops when we talk to Porter Gage, but honestly, this is just a huge, like, cool display in my opinion, as the whole DLC comes to fruition. Next, we talk to Gage, and he gets all soft and tells us that, you know, we're big shots now. He's been planning this since the start. We're finally got a good foothold in the Commonwealth and whatnot. You know, just whatever. But after finishing talking to him, we do get the trophy pop.
Power play for completing Nuka World. Now I'm going to get those remaining what are they called? I can't think. I'm gonna get the remaining outposts. I think I have 5 more to get, and then I gotta do 12 quests for the gangs, and then we're gonna reload our save, and then we're gonna get the alternate ending to the DLC.
Now, before I reverted my save, I got my first of 2 trophies that I would get for grabbing 8 raider camps.
Hostile takeover for establishing 8 raider camps in the Commonwealth.
Next, we went on to our second raider like grindy trophy. This was just to complete 12 raider quests. These were so boring, so I'm only going to include this little bit. You either had to go assassinate someone, kill some guards, or put shock collars on different people and enslave them, which isn't, obviously is like super immoral, but I would just go back to a 4 power play so that you can get 3 at a time, and then after doing 4 trips, you can complete the quest and get the trophy.
Rating for a living for completing 12 quests for the Nuka World gangs. Not too difficult, just takes a little bit of time.
After this, it was time for the cleanup of Nuka World. We only had 3 more trophies, and the first one we got was for grabbing our 5th issue of Scav. These magazines, as well as the Islander Almanac ones, actually give pretty decent rewards, but the 5th one I got was in the Nuka World Junkyard, and here's the trophy pop.
Librarian for collecting every issue of Scav.
After this, the next trophy we got was for creating 20 different flavors of Nuka-Cola. As I mentioned earlier, you can create custom Nuka-Cola, and you can actually find various recipes throughout all the parks and the surrounding areas of Nuka World. I used a paper to actually find out all the ones I needed in the resources, but after crafting our 20th, we got the trophy pop.
Beverageer for creating 20 different flavors of Nuka-Cola. To actually find all the different flavors, I just used a guide and went around, and then honestly it didn't take me too long to get all the ingredients I needed, and now we just have to get the 100,000 tickets and we're done with Nuka World.
The next and last Nuka World trophy was for collecting 100,000 Nuka-Cade tickets. These are really boring, and you kind of just have to create a similar structure to what I did and just keep spamming the basketball over and over. This took me multiple hours to do, and I did a base game trophy of Benevolent Leader alongside this to make it go a little faster. After you get your 100k tickets, you just return to the Nuka-Cade and redeem them for the trophy.
Yes, I saw the prize for redeeming 100,000 tickets. Oh my god, that's actually crazy. That took me so long to do. It's not even funny how long that took.
And with that, guys, we are done with all of the DLC trophies. So the next kind of trophy we went for was Benevolent Leader. This trophy came with our settlement. You just have to get 1 large settlement, which is seen by the size on the right, to maximum happiness of 100. You can do this with 1 dude and put a bunch of, I'm not going to go too much into it, just put a bunch of stuff to make him happy, and you can watch a YouTube guide. But here is that trophy pop.
Yes! Oh my god, benevolent leader for reaching maximum happiness in a large settlement. This honestly didn't take too long. I paired this with the Nuka World trophy whilst I was simming this out. Our setup, not too complicated if I'm being honest. But yes, that's the hardest trophy in the entire game done.
Next, I decided to go grind out the 20 bobbleheads as well as level 50. Now, I just wanted to say I goofed while editing and I'm too lazy to go back and find it, but I did pop a trophy for hacking 50 terminals that I will just add to the trophy count right now. But after clearing out this vault, we got our 10th bobblehead, which will give us our first of 2 bobblehead trophies.
There we go.
They're not dolls for collecting 10 bobbleheads.
Whilst we were getting our 19th bobblehead, I reached level 50 whilst fighting some forged.
Yes, Legend of the Waste for reaching level 50. When I got this platinum on PS4, this was the last trophy I got, so I'm honestly thrilled to already have it done. Because that's like, I don't know, our last big grind, because we only have 2 more bobbleheads to go through, and then that's also done.
And with that, we got to our last bobblehead. This was in Vault 81. You have to complete the quest in Vault 81 to get this. So be very careful you don't get bit by mole rats. But if you make it through, you do get your 20th bobblehead.
They're action figures for collecting all 20 of the bobbleheads.
Next, I decided to go for the last of the miscellaneous objectives. Honestly, these aren't too bad, and if you listen to NPCs talk, they can give you a lot of different ones that start side quests. But the DLCs definitely helped me get this done a lot faster. There is a kind of cheese you can do by buying vertebrate signal grenades from the Brotherhood vendor in the Pridwin, but I didn't even have to do this because I went for the kind of note in a bottle quests that lead you to treasure, and there's a bunch of these that you can do, and they really helped me.
Mercenary for completing 50 miscellaneous objectives. This was honestly such a freaking grindy objective, but we finally have it done. So I think we only have like 1 or 2 more trophies, and then we're on to the endings in the platinum.
Next, we were back to the main story. I decided to do the Railroad questline first, as it ties in pretty well with the Institute questline. But the first thing we had to do was build a teleporter to reach the inside of the Institute. We get a lot of trophies up in this next part because we're doing the Railroad quest while doing the Institute quest. So they both kind of tie in, and I did this part really efficiently, if I'm being honest. But after getting debriefed on what to do, because all factions tell us to get Institute info before we enter, or like while we're in there, we teleport into the Institute and search for our son and get our first trophy pop.
The molecular level. We have officially entered the Institute.
Afterwards, we come face to face with the director of the Institute, known as Father. He reveals to us that he, in fact, is our son. This is Sean. The sole survivor, or Septa, thinks that his son is still a little boy, but he's in fact not. He was 60 years old. So, like, the time between when our son got taken and between when we woke up and went out into the wasteland was 60 years, giving him enough time to become leader of the Institute. Just a little bit of a lore drop. His DNA is used in all the synths. That's why they needed him, was to get pure human DNA that was uncorrupted by radiation to make the synths. Now, we decided to join the Institute, so we had to go meet with all the directors of each department. But first, I decided to go talk to the revolutionists in the Institute for the Railroads quest. I'm not going to go into this anymore because you kind of just help the rebels and then help Father as well. So with the quest of Fathers being institutionalized, we just had to, as I said, meet all the directors of the various departments, and after talking to our last director, we get the institutionalized trophy.
Unless you need something else, I'll get back to work.
Institutionalized. Sorry guys, I wasn't expecting that trophy, but this is just our first mission of the Institute Railroad. A lot of these quests kind of overlap, and we can do the Railroad quests at the same time as the Institute ones until like almost the very end, I think.
Next, I started to continue the playthrough a little more, and Father sits us down for a directorate meeting where he tells everyone that he's actually dying, and he tells us that we are actually going to be the next director of the Institute, and we also get another trophy pop. Mankind redefined. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't know why we're about to be the leader of the Institute, but I'll keep going. And we kept continuing through the Institute quest line. In our last quest, before we had to kind of flip sides and stop being undercover in the Institute, was powering up. Basically, we had to steal a super powerful thing called the beryllium agitator and put it in the Institute. For completing powering up, I think we're getting close to the end of our first 2 playthroughs. And to finish what I was saying, we put it in the reactor and then made an announcement and got that trophy. But here's our trophy for being undercover.
Undercover. I think we are on the last couple missions of the railroad storyline. Also, I did make a hard save so I can go back.
Now guys, the reason that we had to blow our cover at the Institute was because the Brotherhood was attacking the railroad headquarters, and the Institute wanted us to go kind of just wipe out the railroad, but we had to go defend the railroad and wipe out the Brotherhood. This is where the two storylines kind of diverge. But here, after we defend the railroad, we go on a bit of a break because Nick Valentine, my main companion throughout this playthrough, I finally got him up to max affinity, where we get his perk. And after helping doing various things like hacking terminals, we do get his max affinity and get the lovable trophy.
Lovable for reaching maximum relationship level with a companion. I did this with Nick. It took a long time. I started after the DLCs, and I literally postponed the end of the game to come do this before I go reload a bunch of saves, to get the endings. But there is our second to last miscellaneous trophy.
Now, after that little break is done, we head over back to the main story where we have to infiltrate the Pridwin to destroy it and kill the Brotherhood of Steel. And we can also kill the Institute with the railroad, but I decided to skip that quest as I wanted to do with the Brotherhood just to save me 30 minutes of time. But as I said, we just plant bombs on the Pridwin's gas things, I guess. And afterwards, we escape on a vertibird with Tinker, Tom, and Deacon and watch the Brotherhood blimp blow up. Now, Carson, I know watching this video will be super sad at the fact that the Brotherhood got kirked, but we do get our last railroad trophy right here.
Thank you for keeping them.
Rocket's red glare. And we took down the Brotherhood, but what I'm gonna do here is go to the Institute playthrough because yes, we can beat the game with the railroad, but instead, I already have to do a playthrough with the Brotherhood, so I'm just going to actually do the last mission with the Brotherhood to save time. Next, I decided to continue the Institute story because all we really had to do different was just go wipe out the railroad, which I did, and then we had to go wipe out the Brotherhood. Now, they did this significantly different than the railroad did. Basically, the Institute's way was just to spam them with synths and then get a synth with a virus to hack their huge robot Liberty Prime and make Liberty Prime target the Pridwin. Now, this would have looked way cooler if I did not have a texture glitch making the sky just super bright, but this is the Pridwin being destroyed yet again, and this is going to be our first actual ending, as since we don't have to blow up the Institute, the railroad and Brotherhood being dead will actually complete the game for us. So we talked to Sean, and he's basically on his deathbed at this point, and he tells us that he knows we're gonna look ahead and do great things, and he trusts that we will keep the Institute safe and everything. And the credits do roll. I'm gonna skip the credits for the Institute ending and the Brotherhood ending just to not spoil absolutely everything about the game. And here's the trophy pops for beating the game for the first time and the Institute ending. Nuclear Family for completing Nuclear Family and Prepared for the Future for deciding the fate of the Commonwealth. Those are our trophies for beating the game with the Institute ending, as well as just beating the game in general. Now we are on to our last playthrough, being our Brotherhood playthrough, so I'm going to get started on that.
Next, it was time for our final playthrough, which was the Brotherhood playthrough. For this one, we had to power up Liberty Prime by doing various tasks. I won't go into it too much as the quests are really boring. And we do kind of get an interruption through this because we get some Institute data for the Brotherhood and find out that Paladin Dance, the dude that got us into the Brotherhood, is actually a synth. So in the quest Blind Betrayal, we have to actually go slime him out, which is a sad thing because to a lot of people, he's a companion you can get. So to a lot of people, they like had a bond with him throughout the game. I didn't use him too much, and I mean, it's pixels on a screen, so I killed him with no problem and finished that mission for a pretty easy trophy. We also did rank up to the Paladin rank. The ranks don't really matter for the Brotherhood, for the Platinum trophy at least. I'm sure if you were playing you'd care more, but after talking to Maxon and turning in the quest, we do get the trophy. Sorry the audio's a little delayed here. It's fixed for the rest of the Platinum, I believe. Well, after the next trophy after this.
Blind Betrayal. Unfortunately, we had to kill Dance. I thought he was a pretty chill dude, but we're only a couple missions away from the Platinum.
Now, before I do the last 2 missions of the entire game, I go place a cryo grenade in this random dude's pocket to kill him and get our last miscellaneous trophy.
Prankster's return for placing a grenade or mine while pickpocketing. Yes, these settlers are going to be pissed with me, but I don't even care because now the Platinum will pop just by beating the game, which will make me happy because we'll get a cool Platinum screenshot.
Next, we had the quest Ad Victoriam. This was the intro quest into the final quest. Basically, we had to march with Liberty Prime all the way from the Boston airport to the CIT ruins where the Institute is located. He just blew everything up and eventually used his huge laser along with his nukes in order to burrow through the ground to get into the Institute. We do drop in and get our second to last trophy of the Platinum, which is Ad Victoriam, for, as I'm sure you can guess by now, completing the quest Ad Victoriam. Now, we do have to fight through various synths in the Institute, but overall not too difficult, as we have a bunch of Brotherhood soldiers here fighting with us, so it makes it way easier than what it could have been if we sided with the Railroad or the Minutemen. But we do eventually find Sean, who was kind of blackfacing a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. It was a texture glitch, but low-key that shit's not cool. But he does give us the passcode to disable some of the synths and lift the lockdown so that we can go and blow up the reactor, because we kind of lie to him and tell him we're going to save as many people as we can. But after clearing the reactor room of synths, we plant a bomb onto the reactor. We then are about to teleport, and you have a moral dilemma where the little kid synth Sean, you can bring him. I decided to bring him because I'm a good person. But afterwards, we made it up to the detonator where we will get the last trophies of the Platinum.
And guys,
so see you guys in the next one.
I would like to thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ooh, frick yeah. Huge explosion. Well, there goes the Institute.
After the credits rolled, we had to return to Elder Maxon one last time and turn the quest in to get the Platinum trophy.
Yes, the nuclear option. Guys, this Platinum took me 42 hours to 100% the game, and the Platinum trophy for Fallout 4. 100% of all the trophies. So guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.